Hi everyone, welcome to this third part of the Blue City Unreal tutorial series. In this video, we are going to work on the camera setup and the sequencer. The first thing we need to do is add a camera. So I'm going to go to the top left, click on Add and select a camera. Once we have it in the scene, we need to place it properly. To do that, I'll switch my viewport to perspective and choose Cine Camera Alt Actor. I'll also rename the camera to keep things organized. I'll name it Shot01. Then I'll create a new folder and call it Camera. You can rename any folder by selecting it and pressing F2. I'll move the camera into this folder. Now I'll select the camera using the right mouse button and WASD. I can move the camera around. You can also hold down the left mouse button while moving. If your camera is moving too fast, simply scroll down with the middle mouse button to slow it down. Scrolling up will speed it up. Next, I want a wider field of view with the camera selected in the Details panel. Under Lens Settings, I'll set the film back to DSLR. Then I'll adjust the focal length to around 25 millimeters for a wider view. I'll leave the aperture as it is. I'll position the camera to frame the scene nicely. It's always a good idea to place something in the foreground to create depth. Once I'm happy with the camera angle, we can move on to the sequencer. I'll create a new folder in the content browser and name it Cinematics. Inside this folder, I'll right-click, go to Cinematics, and create a level sequencer. I'll name this Shot01 as well. Double-click it to open the sequencer. Now I'll drag and drop our camera into the sequencer timeline. You'll see the camera appear in the track list. I'll extend the timeline to frame 600 using Ctrl plus the middle mouse button to zoom out. Make sure to stretch the camera track to the end of the timeline. If you don't do this, your animation will not render completely. At frame 0, with the camera selected in the sequencer, I'll click on the transform track and add a keyframe. At frame 0, move the slider to frame 60 and create a new keyframe by clicking the plus icon in the left sequencer window. From frame 0 to 60, the camera will remain stationary. This will save the position, rotation, and scale. I'll move the playhead to frame 600 and then move the camera forward in the scene using WASD and the right mouse button. Once I'm happy with the final position, I'll add another keyframe in the transform track. Now I can play the sequence by clicking play in the sequencer, and I can see the camera moving smoothly. Before rendering, it's important to save everything. Press Ctrl plus Shift plus S to save all your work. Next, I need to make sure some plugins are enabled. Go to Edit, then Plugins, and search for Sequencer. Ensure that Level Sequencer and Actor Sequencer are enabled. You might need to restart Unreal if you make any changes here. I also need to enable the Movie Render Queue plugin. Search for it in the Plugins menu, enable it, and restart Unreal if necessary. Once everything is ready, I'll open the sequencer again and go to render this movie using the Movie Render Queue. In the settings, I prefer using XR sequence for high quality output. Under anti-aliasing, I'll increase the samples to around 36 for a smoother result. In output settings, you can choose 1920 by 1080 for Full HD or set it to 38, 40 by 20, 160 for 4K. I usually prefer 60 FPS for smooth playback. Finally, I'll choose an output folder, name it Shot01, and click Accept. Make sure to save your preset. When everything is set, click Render Local. The render process will start, and depending on your graphics card, it may take a few minutes. If you have an RTX 40 series, it will be faster. With older GPUs, it might take longer. Once the render is done, you can import the XR sequence into DaVinci Resolve, Blender, or any other video editing software to compile it into a video. That's it for this part of the tutorial. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more Unreal Engine tutorials. See you in the next one.